morning. I'm Pastor Chavaleh, and I'm so glad to welcome you virtually to Mount Cross this morning. I apologize that the 10 a.m. live stream is a little bit late, but I had somebody come in that needed to talk, and I'm afraid that someone who's hurting will always take precedence. And so if you're watching, you know that that would be the case for you too. I'd like to share with you this morning a little bit from the book that we are starting a book study on next week. It's called Who Do We Choose to Be? And it's by author Margaret Wheatley. This is not intended to be a Bible study or a Christian book, but I find a lot of gospel elements in it. And the most bare and basic theme is that we as human beings can create pockets of kindness and sanity, even in a sometimes chaotic world, by loving and caring for the people in front of us. And for me, that is very much the gospel according to today. There is a lot of content in this book. It's not really a difficult read, except for sometimes hard to think through, but the format is very nice. But I'm going to skip ahead and read a section of one of the last chapters called Emergence. And because it takes a bit to get there, and these last chapters are very hopeful, in my opinion. So she writes, Islands of Sanity. In preceding essays, which of course you'll have to come to the book study to read or read the book on your own. In preceding essays, I've noted many emergent phenomena that have taken over, creating behaviors that people would never consciously choose and most would find abhorrent. We don't want to lie. We don't want to blame. We don't want to feel angry. We want to be in good relationships. We want to be patient, generous, kind. We want to make a difference. Yet negative behaviors too easily show up in us as we live and work in this current culture. We are experiencing downward causation, influenced by what has emerged, even though we don't want to be. It takes awareness and commitment to choose to withdraw from its oppressive influence if we want to be people we admire, honest, generous, kind, and creative. We have no choice but to step out of this oppressive culture and begin again, creating islands of sanity. You've been learning about cultures of belonging where community, not individuals, is the essential value. You've learned about life as dense networks of interconnected beings working in relationship with one another. So I hope you're startled by my use of the term island. If it surprises you, you've been paying attention. Here's what I mean by it and why it's so important as an identity for leaders and communities. The global context is that we live in a life-destroying culture that cannot be changed. Its destruction has taken form in the ways I've previously described in planet and people. We fully recognize its destructive power. We weep and rage for what's happening. But we cannot change it at the global level, even though that's where change is needed. Maybe societies and cultures could have turned away from greedy growth and self-interest in the 1960s when Rachel Carson published Silent Spring. Maybe corporate and political leaders could have acted for the common good in the 1980s when oil executives knew the impact of their products but chose to intensify their profits and spread disinformation. At the personal and community level, we witness the dynamics of fear, self-protection, deceit, greed, betrayal, anger, and conflict, behaviors that have emerged and now dominate. If we are to create the conditions for people to shift from these behaviors, to escape downward causation, we have to step out of this culture. There is no way to mitigate or temper these destructive behaviors by staying inside the culture. We must deliberately remove ourselves from them. I have to pause for just a minute and say that sometimes I'm glad that we're Lutheran and have such a robust understanding of sin, because we understand that human systems are in bondage to sin and cannot free ourselves. And for me, this is exactly what she's talking about here. but there's hope. She continues, however, I am not suggesting retreating to a comfortable cave or finding a remote land to live in or going to Mars. We can't leave our families, our work, our community. More than ever, we are needed here. Our task is to create the conditions, both internally and within our sphere of influence, where sanity prevails, where people can recall and practice the best human qualities of generosity, caring, creativity, and community. We need to be in the world, but not of it. We need to create places at work and in our communities that protect people from the destructive dynamics of this culture and reawaken their human spirits. Although physically present in the same locations, we set ourselves apart mentally and spiritually. We declare a new identity, committing to be together as rebels who refuse to participate in the destructive influence. We know we are together to create a supportive community. We know we are together to work in harmonious ways using practices that support creativity and contribution. We know we are creating sane conditions to do our work that also creates sanctuary, a trusted place of refuge and support. And wouldn't it be beautiful if Mount Cross was one of those places where, as she says, we declare a new identity, our identity in Christ, committing to be together, creating a supportive community. It's beautiful. She continues, we know we are an island surrounded by seas of increasing turbulence. Tsunamis that suddenly wipe out years of good work and destroy possibility. We know we have no control over these forces, and so we gather together and build an island. The strongest protection is in our shared identity and our commitment to norms and practices that nourish the human spirit. To build an island, the work is twofold. We must stay alert to encroaching destructive forces, such things as policies that divert our attention or negatively impact how we work together, crises badly handled in the greater community, or overbearing bureaucratic demands. And we must attend to strengthening our community, noticing when internal frictions develop or decisions create unintentional negative consequences. Creating and leading an island of sanity is extremely hard work. I'm here for it. I hope you are too. And I do not minimize its difficulty. I've watched leaders make it work and also observed their exhaustion. But they, like me, don't feel there's any other alternative. We must do what we can, where we are, with what we have. We must commit to doing all that we can, using all that we know for as long as we can. These may be terrible times, but we can do our best to create work that invokes the human spirit, work that is inherently meaningful no matter what. Deciding to create an island of sanity is a personal choice to use what you have. It demands everything from you, and unfailingly, it offers the richest rewards of communities of people engaged in meaningful, joyful work. And then she quotes Romans 12, verse 2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I hope that you are as influenced or intrigued by her words as I am. I pray that we can live out this gospel according to islands of sanity, that we can love the people that we see in need in our community. And through that action, through love and service to others, break the cycle of anxiety about our larger world that we don't have influence over. We do have influence over the ways that we care for each other and the ways that we care for people that Christ sets in our path. Loving neighbor every day with everything that we have available. I hope you'll join me in the book study coming up next week. And if you have any questions about it, you're free to email me, contact me at church or by phone, however you want. And I'll talk to you about it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you Sunday.